Guess who back in the house? Here's click clack in the bow. Fine fresh feminine. I hope that you guys are having a wonderful day despite this crazy time with the coronavirus pandemic. I hope you're staying safe and treating yourself good. In order to stay sane, I have been writing and doing a lot of hikes in kind of like less populated areas, and eating healthy has really helped me to stay sane. So tonight is the night. I just watched episode 8 of season 12 of RuPaul's Drag Race. The episode is titled Droop, which is a cute play on words with how are you doing? Thanks for joining the live, Raheem. I really appreciate it. So Droop is a play on Goop, which is Gwyneth Paltrow's lifestyle slash beauty brand. By a show of hands, who has purchased something from that product line? I have not, because it is ridiculously expensive, and it's so clever to use Droop as a product line for people to buy very expensive drag products. And the celebrity guest judge is Chaka Khan, which is really, it's random but not random. I'm sure that Rue and Chaka are really good friends. And so it was actually really good to see her on the show because Shaka is like a drag queen. Like, she was known for big hair, amazing like flamboyant costumes. So it was a good match with Shaka Khan, and I knew, well, I would say I didn't know, but I hoped that the performers uh, at the end would battle to a Shaka Khan song, because I don't think there has previously been a Shaka Khan song in the lip sync battle. So that was interesting. So before I start this review, I want to talk about two things that were kind of like glaring during this particular episode. One, which I've noticed maybe in the last 3 episodes, that Crystal doesn't get the same airtime that the other queens receive. Like, she is really kind of being pushed to the background, like outside of the kind of like El DeBarge moments between her and Rue. We don't see Crystal really, which is really shocking because Rue likes Crystal so much. Um, and was it just me, or did the kind of like emphasis on Jan crying became a little too much? And on top of that, there were so many edits of Jan crying, and then Jan explaining that she wasn't crying because she didn't win the challenge. She was crying because Brita, her best friend, went home. And one, I never, well, it's kind of like weird that she said kind of like that they were best friends, because they never stated that while Brita was on the show. And we got a confessional with Jaida and Jackie stating that Jan was really crying because she didn't win the challenge. And then it was brought up by Rue during the walkthrough. And then later on, when everyone was doing their makeup for the Black Wedding runway, um, that she wasn't crying because of not winning the challenge. It was just too much. They could have left one of the confessionals and Jan speaking about it while getting ready on the cutting room floor. It was so unnecessary. But Brita has been eliminated from the previous episode. By a show of hands, who was shocked that Brita left, and who thinks that she actually shouldn't have been in the bottom? I posted a video of all of Brita's runway looks in a Facebook drag race group, and so many people hated her in the Facebook group. and I was really shocked. I mean, there were a lot of moments that were tense between her and Aiden, but I didn't realize how many fans just do not agree with her and her like confidence and cockiness. And so I was shocked. And so I think she's been getting a lot of death threats since she left the show. And so anyone watching, never send a queen, even though I know you guys don't do it, but just never send a queen death threats because it's just a reality show and the queens are put through a pressure cooker of sorts with challenges, skits, runways, and it is emotionally taxing. Um, and so it just sucks that the queens receive death threats when it's not that serious. It's just drag. Um, so if you watch this, send Brita some love on social media because she really needs it at this point, especially during this time right now. So, fast forward, Rue comes into the workroom in a Klein, Epstein, and Parker suit, red floral with a matching hat and this really kind of like cool silk blouse with a really cool tie. Guys, please Venmo me $500 so I can get this suit. Okay, so the store is in West Hollywood off of Robertson Boulevard. Great location. I can't afford any of the suits in there. I often, when I'm in West Hollywood, I will go to the window and just look at the suits. But that suit was incredible. If you guys Venmo me, I can buy the suit and then impersonate Rue on the Hollywood Walk of Fame whenever it opens back up. But I will wear it every day gladly to impersonate Rue with some like big chunky glasses. And I'll shave my beard. My beard is growing back in, but I'm going to shave it sometime. But yeah, that suit, amazing. I need it in my closet ASAP. So the Rue announces the mini challenge. The contestants are paired together, and they have to create a Fab Fit Fun. I think that's how you what it is. Box, and then present it to the other team that they're paired with, and then read them for filth. I actually thought this was going to be the reading mini challenge, but maybe that'll be next episode. And so this was reading light, and the clear winners were Jackie and Gigi. Um, it They were so hilarious with their reads, so that was really cute. So Gigi and Jackie won $1,000. Gigi is killing it with um, the reward money coming in for all of her wins. And so, congratulations to her because she deserved it. But Jackie really helped her along with that. And so for the Maxi Challenge, they have to create the Droop product. When the queens film these commercials, it's always interesting to see how their creative juices work and if they take advice from Rue, because Rue always comes into the workroom for this particular challenge. Some queens take Rue's advice and some don't. And so, and I was also curious about everyone's products. For some reason, during the walkthrough with, I think his name is Bob Harper, which I've never heard of his products. So I'm gonna like Google him after this video. And so everyone's products weren't mentioned during the walkthrough. I definitely remember we didn't hear from Sherry Pie, and we didn't hear from Jaida. But I'm glad that Heidi was able to chat with Rue about her product because I think it kind of like gave her the fuel that she needed along with Bob's critique during the commercial. And so I was most excited about Heidi's product when they were going to sit with the director. And during, I think, the walkthrough, Heidi confided in the other girls that she only made $9,000 from the previous year, which made me love her even more for her honesty and just how she has been struggling to do drag. And it just shows that if you push hard, it doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter where you place, like she does drag pageants. It doesn't matter where you place in a pageant. It's about your commitment, your confidence, and your presentation. Your confidence will help your presentation, but she is an example that you can push through and reach your goals. So I love because she didn't have to share that, and so I loved that she shared that. So during the shooting of the commercials, Heidi, Jackie, and Crystal impressed me the most. And I was really curious with uh, Crystal's process. It was a little more deconstructed, like she didn't have a set game plan, which can make or break a person during this type of a challenge. And so it seemed like she was having fun. I don't even know if she had a script at all, but I kind of like, I love the journey that she took us on. I could definitely see it. And the director gave Heidi such great critiques that Heidi had a script, but she moved away from the script and just wanted to have fun. And so I love that, and she went with his direction. They didn't. It was weird because they didn't use all of the dialogue that she had, which was really weird and kind of like the final edit. Um, but I really enjoyed the edit, but I'll talk about that later. And so we learn after everyone has shot their commercials, and um, we didn't really see everyone. Jackie's shade. It definitely was. It definitely was. I didn't realize that Jackie could be so shady. But Jackie sometimes has these great moments um, where her kind of like she has this really um, kind of like dry humor almost that comes out that fits with her character. So that's what I like. It's very kind of like Barbara Eden, I Dream of Jeannie humor that can be a little dated, but it serves a purpose to illuminate her as a character. So I love it. I love all of that. And so we have the main challenge, or the runway is called Black Wedding, and there was a moment where Crystal was talking about how she was going to take the theme Wedding, but take it to a new direction. And they had like a shot of her wig. I thought that she was going to do something kind of like more stereotypical, so I was like bracing myself to be almost offended by what she was going to present on the runway. I don't know if anyone else felt that way, but I was pleasantly surprised that she didn't do that. So um, Jan looked so beautiful. Her makeup was very romantic. She was wearing, or she had on crinoline, which shapes the bottom of a gown. to make it go further out. So the waist looks smaller. She was wearing this kind of like shimmery black fabric, and I'd never heard of organdy, which is a translucent silk. And I was trying to figure out where that material was. I don't know if it was covering the gown and if that was the part that was shimmery. Um, but she looked beautiful. I love the feathers on the bodice. And there was also, I think it was silk, like a sheer silk fabric, also coming out of the bodice. But she looked so beautiful. Jaida looked like she was going to a drag pageant wedding. She just looked so polished. Like it was a Vera Wang gown. Um, just beautiful. What really stood out were her earrings. They were almost gaudy, um, but went so well with the whole look and the kind of like bling that was on her gown and her rings. So she just looked polished and really beautiful. Like everything just went so well together. So I really liked her look. Gigi can really do no wrong. She was wearing a Christian Dior silhouette, which I believe is from the 50s. I could be wrong, but I believe it was the new Christian Dior look. And Rue loves Christian Dior and can spot it when Rue sees it. It reminds me of season two when Morgan McMichael wore a similar silhouette during the or the wedding runway. And so, Rue has an eye for Christian Dior. And so the kind of like 50s look, she had a Hitchcock blonde um, updo that was very classic, platinum blonde hair, a very bold red lip, and black sheer gloves. And the styling was just perfection. I don't know if her mother created that gown, but whoever did an amazing job. It actually looked like something that you would find in a wedding shop in Paris. So I loved her. Okay, Heidi. Heidi has never looked better on the runway. She looked so good. She has had some moments where I've kind of like questioned her decisions on the runway, but this was her night. She looked incredible. Um, and not only did she look incredible on the runway, but from the her commercial, which was amazing, to her look, it was a win-win for her. So I was really excited for Heidi. Everything was tasteful, loved it. My favorite look of the night was Widow. Um, Widow is probably the contestant who's had the most questionable fashion choices on the runway. Um, she, even like last episode, it was just not up to par with the other girls. She saved this look, uh, and I'm so glad that she did because it was a wow moment. I just wish that she would have had a better commercial uh, because she probably could have won the challenge. But the my favorite thing about her look was she was wearing this crystal veil, and when she lifted it she was wearing all black contact lenses, and so it just kind of like completed the look. It was unexpected, and that's what we needed from Widow on the runway. And she had this really cool like crystal lines on her eyes, so that was incredible. Okay, so for the commercials, my favorites were Jaida, Jackie, Crystal, and Heidi. And Heidi was the best overall. She took Rue's advice, and it wasn't kind of like over the top, but it was hilarious. And I love that she had like this disclaimer at the end saying that her product will cause baldness, which was hilarious. But Jada's commercial was really funny. It had every element that we needed. It was informative. It was an actual product that people could buy. And she really sold it. Um, I have really, I have been sleeping on Jaida, but I would say that Jaida really shined. And from her runway to her commercial, I thought that she had a chance to win the challenge. So those were my favorites. Unfortunately, Jan, Widow, and Jaida, they struggled with their commercials. And with Gigi, I think she just needed more humor to sell the product. The product was a little unusual, though, like a scent, a fragrance that is also a sleeping aid. I think if she had more time, she would have thought of something that was um, more interesting, but just a kind of like a spray just never. I guess three people had sprays. Oh, each person that had a spray didn't do good. Um, so yeah, I guess never do a spray for a product challenge is the lesson of the day, which everyone should learn. And so we see all of the commercials, and Rue asks all of the queens who should go home. So everyone says Widow, except for Widow, of course. Widow says Jan. And typically, when two names are chosen, those two names have to lip sync against each other. And so we learn that Heidi wins the challenge, and this is Heidi's first win. And so Gigi has won 3 challenges, Sherry Pie has won 2 challenges, and Widow and Jaida are tied with 1 challenge win. So Jackie and Jan hadn't won challenges at this point. So this is Heidi's first win. So I was really excited and happy for Heidi. Heidi is such a sweetheart. You guys, if you don't follow her on social media, do. Um, she has responded to comments that I've made on YouTube, and she has replied back to me on Twitter. And so she's really sweet. So really show her some love because she deserves it. So we learned that Jaida, Crystal, Jackie, Gigi, and Sherry are safe. And so the bottom two are Jan and Widow, which we all knew that it was going to happen. And so when I when Rue said that it was going to be Widow that was going to lip sync, I already knew who the winner was going to be. Widow is a performer. She will outperform everyone, no matter what the song is. And so I always get nervous when there are slow songs that are chosen for the lip sync because everyone doesn't know how to embody a song, especially a slow song. So the song is Chaka Khan, This Is My Night. I had never heard of that song. I don't know the year that it came out, but I will actually Google it because I want to really kind of like listen to the lyrics. So Widow embodied the song. She embodied the spirit of the song and gave slow movements that were meaningful. And Jan did all of this kind of like weird choreo that didn't translate with the lyrics of the song or the spirit of the song. And it reminded me of Latrice Royale against Kenya Moore with, I think it was um, an Aretha Franklin song, if I remember correctly, how Latrice did not move from where she stood on the stage, but she was able to emote and deliver a performance. Kenya was doing this kind of like ballerina routine and just hitting every inch of the stage. And so Rue says that Widow stays. And I was so excited because I'm really rooting for Widow. She brings something different to the table. And fingers crossed, I hope she wins a challenge next week because she needs it. And so, unfortunately, Jan has to go home, but Jan will do well after coronavirus epidemic. She's a New York queen. New York queens really are successful after the show. It's something, and kind of like people give like New York queens crap, especially Brita. But it's, I think the hustle of being a New Yorker is kind of like one thing, and having to compete with so many other queens. Like the New York drag scene is probably the biggest drag scene in the country. Of course, drag is huge in LA and San Francisco and Atlanta, but there are probably more queens in New York. And so Jan is a part of a famous drag family. Alexis Michelle is her mother, and so she'll do well. And the New York queens after the show they tend to work together. So I know that Jan is proud of her journey, and unfortunately, her passion didn't translate well with the judges, which I know was really frustrating for her. And what really killed her commercial. And so I do think that all of us can take something from that, that it's not just your passion that will propel you in life, but it's refinement that is key, that that makes or breaks a person no matter what career they're in. And so that was the lesson that I took from this episode. And that will actually stay with me. It's a powerful message that passion is needed, product is needed. You have to be ready to show the product, but you have to have a refined product. Um, so I really enjoyed this episode. The editing was really good in this episode. A lot of things were revealed to us merely through editing of images, and so I love that. This is my favorite reality show. The hands down. Just the editing is, you could watch it on mute and discover so much about the queens and the show. Kudos to the editors. Um, and I haven't watched Untuck. After I finish this, I'm gonna watch it. But I'm curious as to how Widow feels that everyone chose her as the person to go home. She didn't have the worst commercial, but I do think it's smart. It's really strategy I think Jackie was the first person who was asked who should go home, and it was Widow. And even like last season, and I think Rue asked this episode 3 about who should go home, and the queens have learned, if I stick with the person that the first queen said, that it won't come off as personal, but it'll come off as me answering the question. And so I'm curious how Widow feels about that, because she is someone who doesn't hold her tongue. She will say exactly what she thinks, even though um, it might not translate as honesty. It might translate as her having a bad attitude to some people in the fandom. A lot of people have said that online, that they think she has this attitude, but no, it's just her being honest and delivering it in the way that only Widow can. So I hope that her being in the bottom really reignites the fire that she had episode 1 and in the performances that she's given, because I really want her to win a challenge. And so who do you guys think should have went home? Did Rue choose the best person to go home? Do you think Widow should have went home? Who do you think looked the best on the runway? And what are some of your other thoughts about this particular episode? I know I cannot wait to see next week's episode. And I hope that you guys love this episode as much as I did. So until next time, have a wonderful day and be safe right now in this crazy time. So have a wonderful night. Besos.